Gems friends, welcome to Friended. I'm Miss Lene and I'm so glad you are here. This season at Gems, we're talking about friendship. We all want good friends, don't we? I know I do. Together we've been focusing on our friendship with one another and also with God. Let's see if we can remember the three one another's we've learned so far. First of all, it was love one another. Very good. Next was serve one another. The third was pray for one another. For today's one another, I'm going to take a seat here at the Gems Diner. It's rare for diners to have assigned seating, right? Instead, they usually have a sign at the front door that reads, "Come in, we're open." But sometimes people known as regulars, or the ones who eat at the same place over and over again, will often sit in the same seat over and over again. Maybe you've seen that in a movie or a TV show before. Someone new walks in the diner and all the regulars stare. And if a stranger sits in one of the regulars' chairs, people gasp, "That's not your seat. You don't belong here." Maybe you've also seen it in the lunchroom, whether in real life or in the movies. Maybe the popular girl sits in the middle of the lunchroom and the athletes sit by the door nearest the gym. And the ones who wonder where they belong, they sit in the back corner, hoping no one picks on them. Have you ever walked into a room and didn't know where to sit, and you wondered if you fit in? Have you ever felt unaccepted before? When we stare, gasp, and save seats, we miss out on making new friends or helping others feel welcome. Instead, Jesus invites all of us to be near him, and he wants us to do the same. That's what one another friends do. They pull out a chair or a stool for all people, not just their closest friends, and they say, "Here, come sit by me." Let's be real. It's not always easy to accept others, is it? To accept others means to welcome them, invite them in to come close, and to love them, even if they look, talk, or believe different things than us. Instead, sometimes we treat people like candy, and we pick out our favorites, and we reject the rest. There was a man in the Bible who knew he was supposed to love his neighbors, but he wanted to know which ones. This man thought he could pick and choose his friends, just like picking out a piece of candy. Jesus answered the man's question with a story. It's found in Luke chapter 10. Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side." This is about the width of the Jericho road that people would walk to get from the city of Jerusalem to Jericho. It's pretty narrow, isn't it? The priest probably had to step over the man. Even if he could squeeze by, he for sure saw the injured man and noticed how desperately he needed a friend. The Bible tells us the next person who saw the wounded man was another religious leader called a Levite. The Levite faced the same choice, and guess what? He also passed by on the other side. Then came a Samaritan. The people listening to Jesus' story hated Samaritans. They considered Samaritans the worst of the worst, the lowest of the low. They thought Samaritans were disgusting. This Samaritan made a very different choice from the powerful, important people who came before him. The Samaritan knew the injured man probably hated him for being a Samaritan, but instead of stepping on him or around him, he stepped toward him. The Samaritan accepted this hurting, broken man. He bandaged his wounds and gave him a ride to the nearest town. He even paid for all of his lodging, food, and medical bills. Wow. At the end of the story, Jesus asked, who was a neighbor to the wounded man, the priest, the Levite, or the Samaritan? How would you answer? The priest? No. The Levite? No. The Samaritan? Yes, the Samaritan is our neighbor. The Samaritans, the ones we'd rather avoid than accept, are the ones we are to love. It's easy to accept people who are like us and who love us back, right? But Jesus tells us to accept everyone. Yes, everyone. The girl who bugs you, your grouchy neighbor, the little cousin who is a pain, your classmate who looks differently than you do, your brother and your sister too. Can you guess our fourth one another? It's accept one another. If you are able to join me, let's read this one another command together. Accept one another. God's word tells us how. Romans 15 verse 7 says, accept one another then, just as Christ accepted you, in order to bring praise to God. Let's go back to my candy. This candy looks different on the outside, but on the inside, the filling is the same. The candy is kind of like people. All people are created by God and have value and worth. All people are created in God's image. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Native American, all people. And though we may see different ages, colors, abilities, and personalities, we need to see what Jesus sees. He doesn't see people the way we do. He doesn't take note of the differences we might see first. Remember, Jesus always looks at people through the lens of love. He always steps toward people instead of stepping on or around them. He always loves. He always accepts. He accepts us and calls us friends. We follow in his steps when we accept others and call them friends. Let's look for ways to live our new one another this week and accept one another. It's what one another friends do.